Okay, we're back in our room with our finished door from the last tutorial. If we move around with the left joystick, you can see we've got some 3D parallaxing and depth there now. But today, we're going deeper. Today, we're going to do something a bit more detailed. We're going to elaborate on sculpting by creating an object with multiple layers of depth at various angles, starting with this painting here. To begin, we'll move closer with the left joystick and bring up the menu. We'll be using our handy contour tool from the Reconstruction toolset. Remember, as always, you can swap tools within each toolset by clicking on the intended item with the front right trigger, or cycling through with the right joystick by pushing it to the left or right. And you can swap through categories by flicking the left joystick up and down. When dealing with objects like this, you have to mentally picture how it's shaped in a 3D space. There's a few tricks to this. For instance, this frame clearly bows inward, judging by the lighting and subtle curve to the 2D image, with the frame still bowing inwards while stretching outwards. So, we'll set our first contour lines along this narrow section between, putting in anchor points at each corner. Let's increase the size of the selection circle so we can connect to our starting anchor more easily. Then, it's back to the menu, where we'll swap over to extrusion. As mentioned previously, you have several additional options available with extrusion. We'll be using the standard mode, but there's also a dome mode, as well as horizontal and vertical tools, and a snapping tool. You'll primarily use these latter three when working with edges, so we'll get into those a bit later in our tutorials. As a quick demonstration of the dome function, you'll see here that by selecting it, then clicking the contour with your front right trigger and dragging produces a curved dome, which is very handy with some ceilings and skylights. Also, tilting the right trigger back and forth will alter how many surfaces will be generated across the dome, generating them all at once you let go of the trigger. This is fantastic, except for the part where we've thoroughly ruined a classic painting. So we're going to swap back to the standard option, and we're going to extrude with the front trigger, because we want to keep a surface between our painting and the wall this time. So just hold down the front trigger and drag. But wait, we're getting some odd angles here. This doesn't look quite what we want. Fortunately, that's easily rectified by once again moving the right joystick back and forth, allowing us to alter the angle. Now we can try to match what's most suitable for our painting. It takes a little trial and error, but in no time, you're good to go. We have our first volume. To continue, we want to use the inner right trigger so we can extend this existing volume out, working it out and continuing to alter the angle by pushing the right joystick. As we go, you'll see we're starting to match the original geometry. And we release, then we click again, continuing to alter the angle. And there you go. At this point, it's best we save our progress. Always be sure to save regularly while working, especially when you've been working for a long period of time. Next, let's look at another way to sculpt an object. Sure, contouring is one way to make an object, but setting those anchor points takes time, and you want it fast and you want it now. Well, fortunately for you, there's always several alternatives, and today we're going to start exploring them. Going to the right in the menu, you'll note there's a tool called Surface Creation, and it has additional options. This tool is going to make a parallel, coplanar surface, and is very handy for making circular shapes. Let's set our pointer in the center of the picture, and then hold down the right front trigger. A triangle appears. By using the right joystick, we can increase the number of sides to our triangle. So by nudging to the right, we can go from a square all the way to a wide circle. Also, while using this tool, by pressing either the A or B button, you can cancel your current action and remove the in-progress circle. Now going back to those options, our starting tool was set to orient from the point we selected as the center, but we can also do this from the side at an angle, sort of like creating a simple primitive object in MS Paint. The second set of options are whether you want your surface to be coplanar or tangential. By making a tangent, we actually create the surface out of that point, springing forth outward from the selected origin. It's a pretty trippy visual. With all this in mind, let's go with coplanar and set the orientation to from the side as our settings, zooming ourselves in closer by nudging the left stick. And like always, you can increase your precision by getting in closer to your pointer. Then we go out from that angle, reducing our sides until we have a nice square like this. If this was a square painting, we'd be set, but it's a rectangle. Thankfully, it's simple to adjust this for rectangular shapes. We swap to the editing geometry tool, reposition our anchor points like we would with a contour, using our left joystick to move around. As you can see, it's a similar result to if we had used the contour tool. Now, we're going to show you another way to extrude our painting. Last time, we used the front right trigger and the joystick to adjust the angle. Then we used the back trigger to extrude it further. This time, we'll exclusively use the front trigger. What happens this time is that if we bring it closer and add a bit of an angle, you can see the shape we push inside, but when we let go, it vanishes. Like the door before in our last tutorial, the shape is sculpted, but a surface remains on the exterior. And just like then, all we need to do is delete the surface with the delete tool, and then we can see it. Finally, what if we were to move this painting? Well, let's swap to the scene editing category in the menu and select Move. By pointing at our painting, we right-click with our painting to move it, and only part of our painting is moving. Why is that? Because we only use the front trigger when doing our extrusion, which creates a different, separate volume each time we use the front trigger. There is, thankfully, a way to group these volumes. Head back to the scene editing menu and change your tool to select, making sure to click each of the 3 bounding boxes for our volumes. Once you have them all selected, pop back to the menu and select Group from the Select functions. Now, we can move them as one object. And there you have it. That concludes today's tutorial.